In the classroom, a male student quietly focuses on drawing an architectural work inspired by Kumiko Zaiku, filling the design with a distinct orange color. Around him, other students are casually playing by tossing a mop cloth back and forth. The atmosphere remains light until the cloth accidentally hits the back of the student who is drawing. The student who throws it immediately realizes what happens and shows remorse for the mistake. The student who is drawing is named Katsuzawa Kusiai, although many people often mispronounce his name as Utsuzawa. The male student who throws the mop cloth already knows his correct name and becomes curious about the drawing in front of him. He assumes the drawing is related to anime, but Katsuzawa firmly rejects that assumption. Because the other student regularly watches Kimetsu, he believes Katsuzawa is simply hiding the truth. Elsewhere in the classroom, a female student reacts with surprise after realizing that Saika appears in the same magazine as Miko Cheiso. Another female student finds this impressive, thinking that someone who starts as an ordinary reader can eventually become a magazine model as well. Saika, however, treats it modestly and explains that it is merely a joint photo shoot rather than something more significant. The male student who throws the mop cloth notices Saika and her group and becomes distracted. When Katsuzawa tries to get his attention, he receives no response. Shortly after, that male student walks over to Saika and her friends and wants to know what they are talking about. He attempts to join their conversation, but Saika's friends, including Deguchi and Sonoda, clearly show that they do not want him to come closer. At the same time, Katsuzawa chooses to leave the classroom to wash his face. As he walks away, Saika notices him leaving. Inside the restroom, Katsuzawa feels frustrated about being ignored earlier, especially because he believes he has a chance to talk and connect with others. Several months after entering high school, social groups have already formed, and Katsuzawa realizes that he has missed his opportunity to blend in. As a result, he becomes isolated and gradually turns into a quiet, withdrawn introvert. Katsuzawa reflects on the moment and wishes he could have stayed longer and acted more decisively, believing that taking initiative might allow him to rise within the school's social environment. At the same time, he understands that speaking carelessly to a popular circle would only make him uncomfortable. In the worst case, he imagines being labeled as a strange and intimidating introvert, becoming the subject of gossip among female students, or facing severe social consequences simply for being alone. He begins to question whether he can still form a circle of friends and wonders how he managed to make friends in the past. Talking about hobbies feels risky to him because he fears others may not share the same interests. Yet, from his own perspective, being able to enthusiastically discuss hobbies with someone who truly shares them is a kind of talent. After leaving the restroom, Katsuzawa unexpectedly meets a female student who introduces herself as Yakakura. Yakakura shows interest in him and indicates that she wants to talk about something with Katsuzawa after school. While in the classroom, Katsuzawa quickly repairs a shelf that belongs to Yakakura. The repair is finished in a short amount of time, and Yakakura expresses her appreciation because the shelf is fixed right when it is needed. Katsuzawa responds modestly, explaining that he only repairs a crack in the wooden board and nothing more. Yakakura observes that Katsuzawa's hand movements are extremely fast and precise. It becomes known that Katsuzawa comes from a family that owns a workshop, and he often helps with repairs there, which naturally sharpens his skills. Yakakura mentions that during lunchtime she takes a look at Katsuzawa's notebook and realizes that he truly has strong technical ability in repairing things. Katsuzawa acknowledges that he enjoys helping at his family's workshop, but he also has a strong interest in designing objects. Yakakura lightly frames this as the beginning of a designer's path, although Katsuzawa insists that he is still far from being considered an expert. Curious, Katsuzawa asks what kind of items he has repaired. Yakakura explains that the items belong to her club and that their budget is extremely limited, which makes his help feel like a rescue to them. Katsuzawa simply feels happy to be useful. Just as Yakakura seems about to say something more, one of her female friends calls her and urges her to head to the club immediately. Yakakura thanks Katsuzawa once again and leaves in a hurry. Left behind, Katsuzawa becomes curious about what kind of club Yakakura belongs to. Because of her friendly attitude, he briefly thinks that Yakakura matches his personal type. However, he quickly realizes that Yakakura is naturally sociable, and he considers it unreasonable to think that he could easily become close friends with her. Even so, Katsuzawa tries to remain positive, reminding himself that today he has already spoken with 2 classmates, which feels like progress. From Katsuzawa's point of view, even the Sumamata castle, which is rumored to have been built overnight, actually requires several days to complete. Based on that thought, he believes that friendship cannot be formed in a single day. He decides not to rush and trusts that he will eventually meet the right people at the right time. With that mindset, Katsuzawa walks home alone after school. At the same time, Saika rides her bicycle while quietly humming to herself. As Katsuzawa walks, he notices a cloud in the sky whose shape resembles the Toyotomi family crest. This sight leads him to imagine what it would be like if he possessed the charisma to draw people in, much like Toyotomi Hideyoshi. While he is lost in thought, Saika suddenly appears, riding her bicycle at high speed. Without slowing down, she collides with Katsuzawa while instinctively closing her eyes. Saika opens her eyes and realizes that she does not feel any pain at all. It turns out that Katsuzawa has stopped the bicycle with his body, which leaves her visibly surprised. Katsuzawa checks whether Saika is safe, even though he himself feels pain in his abdomen. Saika expresses her gratitude for being saved and reveals that she already knows who Katsuzawa is. In Katsuzawa's mind, he recalls that this beautiful girl belongs to the gal circle in their class, and he initially assumes that her name is Deguchi. Saika then clarifies her identity, explaining that her name is Mizuguchi Saika, while Deguchi is merely her social nickname. Katsuzawa immediately becomes flustered, realizing that he has mistakenly called the gal queen of the class by the wrong name. Overwhelmed by embarrassment, he hastily apologizes and suddenly rushes away, mentally apologizing to his parents and imagining that he will meet his end before them. Saika is left confused by his reaction and briefly wonders if Katsuzawa is seriously injured. Moments later, Saika laughs and finds Katsuzawa's behavior amusing rather than offensive. Katsuzawa, from a distance, cannot understand why Saika is not angry with him. Saika then prompts him to introduce himself properly, since she has already done so. Feeling that it would be impolite to remain silent, Katsuzawa introduces himself. Saika hesitates for a moment at the sound of his name, and Katsuzawa explains that the kanji of his name carries the meaning of health and life. Seeing Saika's unusual reaction, Katsuzawa once again feels a wave of panic, uncertain about how to interpret her expression. Even though Katsuzawa and Saika are classmates, Saika is known for not enjoying conversations with introverted students. From Katsuzawa's perspective, there is a strong possibility that Saika's friends might treat him harshly if they assume he is causing trouble for her. Because of that fear, Katsuzawa decides to avoid the situation while he still can, believing that they will probably never talk again after this encounter. He prepares to excuse himself and head home, but Saika stops him and follows after him while riding her bicycle. Suddenly, the chain on Saika's bicycle comes loose. Seeing this, Katsuzawa abandons his intention to leave and chooses to help by fixing the bicycle chain instead. While he works on the repair, Saika apologizes, and Katsuzawa reassures her through his actions that it will not take long. During this moment, Katsuzawa regrets the negative assumptions he makes about Saika earlier, at the very least acknowledging that she sincerely apologizes to him. He is also aware that Saika works as a model, and he never expects that he would be able to interact with her so naturally like this. After the bicycle chain is properly fixed, Saika openly praises Katsuzawa's skill. She then wants to share his impressive work on her social media platform, Twista. Katsuzawa notices that Saika is already smiling and recording a video without asking for his permission. Because he has no desire to become viral on the internet, he immediately refuses. Saika then asks if it would be acceptable to post the video without showing his face. Faced with Saika's bright smile, Katsuzawa feels how vulnerable his introverted nature is against her extroverted aura, and he eventually gives in and allows it. Saika reassures him by making it clear that only her friends can see her social media posts. She finishes recording, uploads the video, laughs lightly, and encourages Katsuzawa to relax. Katsuzawa reasons that as long as his face does not appear, it should not become a problem. Katsuzawa then takes his leave and prepares to go home, also advising Saika to replace her bicycle chain soon because it has already become loose. Saika accepts the advice without hesitation. As Katsuzawa walks away, he feels mentally overwhelmed, unable to fully understand the way extroverted people think. The confusion makes him want to return home as quickly as possible to calm himself down. Behind him, Saika follows while pushing her bicycle. After a while, Katsuzawa becomes aware of her presence and realizes that she is walking behind him. Saika asks whether Katsuzawa's house is nearby. This immediately raises questions in Katsuzawa's mind, making him wonder if she is trying to find out where he lives. He answers that his house is close enough to reach on foot. Saika reacts by saying that he is fortunate and mentions her own wish to live near the school. Although Katsuzawa feels uneasy about being followed, Saika explains that she simply happens to be taking the same route. Even so, Katsuzawa still suspects that she is deliberately following him. Saika then admits that she is only joking and reveals that she actually goes home using a different route. With a smile, Saika says goodbye to Katsuzawa and wishes him well until the next day. Katsuzawa responds in return, though without a smile. He feels a sense of relief, realizing that Saika is not truly following him. To him, girls like her, who seem unaware of personal boundaries, remain a mystery. Just as the moment seems to end, Saika suddenly remembers something important. She leaves her bicycle behind and runs toward Katsuzawa. Catching up to him, she explains that she forgets to properly thank him. With a sincere smile, she expresses her gratitude once more for fixing her bicycle. As Katsuzawa starts walking again, Saika signals that she wants to do a high five. After a brief pause, Katsuzawa finally understands her intention and they exchange a high five. Saika looks genuinely happy afterward and thanks him again. Meanwhile, Katsuzawa quietly wonders about the meaning behind all of this. He realizes that Saika runs all the way back just to express her gratitude, and he recognizes that his earlier assumptions are misguided. He begins to think that Saika might truly be a kind-hearted girl. Saika then leaves for real, and this time Katsuzawa responds with a smile. For Katsuzawa, this experience reinforces the idea that he cannot truly understand someone unless he speaks with them directly. Elsewhere, Saika practices softly pronouncing Katsuzawa's full name to herself as she walks away. On the following day in the classroom, Katsuzawa arrives and immediately notices that the atmosphere feels unusually lively. The room is filled with excited energy, and many students appear to be talking at once. Yakakura soon notices Katsuzawa and greets him in a friendly manner, which he returns in kind. Wanting to understand what is happening, Katsuzawa asks about the cause of the excitement spreading through the class. Yakakura explains that a mysterious male figure appears on Saika's Instagram, which instantly draws a great deal of attention. Hearing this, Katsuzawa is visibly startled, yet he forces himself to stay calm, reminding himself that there is no certainty that the person in the video is actually him. Yakakura then shows him the video in question and casually assumes that the man might be Saika's boyfriend. As Katsuzawa watches the video more closely, he realizes with growing dread that the person shown is indeed himself, described in the post as a capable and impressive man. This realization makes him feel as though he has stepped into an extremely dangerous situation. Yakakura notices that Katsuzawa's face turns pale and asks if something is wrong with him. Katsuzawa quickly makes an excuse, claiming that he is simply feeling unwell because he eats breakfast late. Yakakura responds by mentioning that many people who skip breakfast often end up not feeling well, treating the situation lightly. Inside, however, Katsuzawa feels a deep sense of panic. He believes that if everyone discovers that the man in the video is truly him, his quiet school life will completely collapse. At that moment, Saika arrives in the classroom and looks around, wondering what causes the commotion. The male students nearby respond to her presence with casual greetings, clearly focused on her rather than the explanation. Katsuzawa grows increasingly uneasy, worrying that Saika might assume they have become close simply because he fixes her bicycle the day before. The thought terrifies him. He desperately wants to avoid even the smallest interaction with Saika, convinced that any further attention will bring him social ruin. Despite his efforts to stay unnoticed, Saika turns toward him and acknowledges him, expressing her appreciation for what happens the previous day. To Katsuzawa, that moment feels like the sound of a bell announcing his inevitable downfall as he stands frozen, fully aware that all eyes might soon turn toward him, because the social media post from the popular gyres spreads rapidly throughout the class. A major misunderstanding begins to take shape, and it reaches its peak when Saika suddenly expresses her gratitude for what happens the day before. Katsuzawa immediately panics and assumes that he is about to fall into serious trouble. Saika explains her gratitude through her actions and attitude, making it clear that she genuinely feels helped by Katsuzawa and that the experience leaves a strong impression on her. Meanwhile, Katsuzawa feels an overwhelming pressure building behind him, as if the attention of the entire classroom is slowly closing in. Before he can regain his composure, the male student who throws the mop cloth the previous day appears and casually remarks that since morning, Saika and Katsuzawa seem to be getting along unusually well. Saika acknowledges the comment and greets the student, who is revealed to be named Miyasaka. Miyasaka immediately questions how long Saika and Katsuzawa have been this close. Saika makes it clear that the matter has nothing to do with Miyasaka, and several students in the classroom echo the same sentiment, reinforcing her stance. Miyasaka then explains that he checks the social media accounts of many classmates the day before, and during that time, Saika's account appears on his screen. He claims that her post simply catches his attention by coincidence. The male students in the class openly reject that explanation, insisting that it cannot be a coincidence. Saika labels Miyasaka's behavior as that of a stalker, while Miyasaka continues to defend himself by repeating that everything happens by chance. The male students pressure him further, urging him to admit the truth. Under that pressure, Miyasaka points directly to the core of the issue by questioning whether the man in the video is Katsuzawa and suggesting that Katsuzawa might be dating Saika. The male students react positively, treating this assumption as the conclusion they want to hear. Katsuzawa hurriedly insists that the situation is nothing more than a coincidence. Miyasaka grows irritated and demands that Katsuzawa speak more clearly instead of avoiding the issue. Saika senses the tension and questions the situation, noticing Miyasaka's raised voice. Before Miyasaka can fully explain himself, Saika firmly establishes that whether she has a boyfriend or not is none of his concern. She also criticizes Miyasaka for constantly seeking conflict. As Miyasaka attempts to respond again, two of Saika's female friends arrive and greet her, immediately sensing that something is happening. They ask what is going on and who the people involved are. One of them quickly recognizes Katsuzawa as the man who goes viral on social media the previous day, and Saika confirms it without hesitation. Another friend explains that when Saika uploads the video, she does not set the post to private, which leads many people to assume that Saika is in a relationship with Katsuzawa. Saika clarifies that the upload is a simple mistake and that Katsuzawa merely helps her on the street by coincidence. Her friend presses her to confirm whether that is truly all there is to it. The male students listen closely, eager for Saika's answer, and once the explanation settles, they finally ease up and forgive Katsuzawa. The classroom bell rings soon after, signaling the start of the lesson. Saika heads back to her seat so class can begin, while Katsuzawa responds quietly with his head lowered. Before fully leaving, Saika indicates that she wants to talk with Katsuzawa again later because she feels the need to return the favor. Katsuzawa reacts with visible surprise, while Miyasaka directs a sharp and hostile glare toward him. Sometime later, after the class session ends, Saika approaches Katsuzawa again and asks about his usual lunch. She explains through her actions that if it involves cafeteria food, she wants to treat him as repayment for what he does before. Inside his mind, Katsuzawa cannot help but wonder what kind of unexpectedly sweet girl Saika truly is. He explains that he plans to eat his own lunchbox and apologizes to her for declining. Saika then becomes curious about whether the lunch is prepared by Katsuzawa's mother. Katsuzawa clarifies that he prepares the lunch himself. At that moment, one of Saika's female friends arrives and reacts with genuine admiration, impressed by the fact that Katsuzawa can cook. Saika then explains that Deguchi is actually the name of her friend, which finally makes Katsuzawa realize that the real Deguchi is not Saika, but one of her close companions. Deguchi reacts playfully, questioning whether there is even such a thing as a fake version of herself, before joking that there must be someone out there imitating her. Shortly after, another female friend arrives, introducing herself as Sonoda Ria. She asks what is happening and invites Deguchi to eat together. Deguchi casually suggests that Saika seems interested in getting Katsuzawa's lunch. Saika reacts with clear surprise and immediately rejects that idea, insisting that it is not true. After that, the four of them end up eating together. Katsuzawa feels confused because the situation unexpectedly turns into a shared lunch. At the same time, he senses envious and resentful stares from other students, who seem to think that he is deliberately showing off by sitting with them. Sonoda openly praises Katsuzawa for preparing his own lunch, explaining through her attitude that grilling fish feels troublesome to her. Katsuzawa responds by conveying that it does not feel burdensome to him at all, since the dish uses seasonal salmon and follows a personal recipe that he is already familiar with. Sonoda shows interest and implies that she wants to try the recipe another time. Katsuzawa then turns the topic back to Sonoda and wonders whether she also prepares her own lunch. Sonoda reveals that she often does, because her boyfriend frequently asks her to make lunch for him, which results in her preparing 2 lunchboxes at once. She also expresses the view that forcing women in modern times to cook feels unreasonable to her. Hearing this, Katsuzawa internally feels as though he has stepped onto a hidden landmine, realizing that the topic might be sensitive. Saika subtly signals to Katsuzawa that Sonoda is not actually angry, since Sonoda enjoys showing off her affection for her boyfriend despite claiming otherwise. Sonoda's behavior reflects that she takes pleasure in it, even when she pretends to be reluctant. Sonoda soon becomes annoyed and urges Saika and Katsuzawa to stop drawing attention to her romantic stories. Saika, in turn, encourages Sonoda not to bring up her boyfriend during lunch. Sonoda counters by implying that Saika would be the first to show off if she truly had a boyfriend. Saika reacts with strong conviction, expressing through her demeanor that when she eventually has a partner, it will be a destined and genuine love with her true soulmate. Sonoda looks at Saika with exaggerated awe, as if flowers are blooming around her, giving Saika an almost dreamlike presence. Katsuzawa feels surprised by this, because based on Saika's appearance, he assumes she must already have 1 or 2 past relationships. He quickly dismisses that thought, reminding himself of the lesson he learns the day before, that judging someone by their appearance alone is a mistake. Sonoda then directs her curiosity toward Katsuzawa and wonders whether he has a girlfriend. Katsuzawa explains that he has never been in a relationship, since he usually spends most of his time alone. Sonoda reacts by questioning whether such a lifestyle feels boring. Katsuzawa conveys that it does not, because he enjoys hobbies that involve creating and crafting various objects. Sonoda observes that Katsuzawa has the kind of hands that are naturally skilled and efficient. Saika suddenly remarks that she knows someone who shares a similar way of thinking. Katsuzawa quickly downplays this, expressing internally that he does not see himself that way and that he lacks social skills. Saika counters this impression through her behavior, making it clear that despite everything, Katsuzawa feels surprisingly normal and easy to talk to. Sonoda jokingly suggests that Katsuzawa should act more nervously, as if that would suit him better. Katsuzawa becomes confused by the suggestion, not understanding why he should behave that way at all. Sonoda casually implies that such behavior would be perfect for short video content, and the group ends up laughing together. After school ends, Saika stretches her body and prepares to go home. She notices that Katsuzawa leaves immediately without lingering, which makes her wonder whether he is in a hurry. At the same time, she finds his behavior amusing in a quiet way. Saika becomes aware that she has been paying attention to Katsuzawa more often than usual, and she starts to question whether something is off about herself. Even before the incident where Katsuzawa fixes her bicycle, she already feels that he catches her attention in a subtle way. From Saika's perspective, Katsuzawa feels different from other boys. He does not live by constantly following others, and he prefers creating and repairing things on his own. Because of that, he seems to exist within a world of his own. Saika also remembers seeing Katsuzawa drawing layouts or designs during break time. She once secretly takes a look and notices that the lines are extremely clean and precise, almost mechanical in their accuracy. That memory leaves a strong impression on her, and she finds herself genuinely impressed by Katsuzawa's quiet talent. Suddenly, Miyasaka approaches Saika and greets her. Saika turns her attention to him and acknowledges his presence, then waits to see what he wants. Miyasaka suggests going to a takoyaki stall near the station that has just opened. Saika immediately declines the invitation. Miyasaka tries again by offering to treat her, but Saika maintains her refusal, explaining through her behavior that she has an upcoming photo shoot and does not want to eat anything careless or unsuitable beforehand. Deep down, Saika does not feel comfortable around Miyasaka. She senses that his interest in her is driven mainly by her image as a model or something similar. His overly familiar attitude feels forced to her, and although he pays great attention to his appearance, she feels that there is little substance behind it. From Saika's perspective, Miyasaka ultimately only wants her for superficial reasons. When Miyasaka reacts and asks what she is saying, Saika brushes it off as nothing important. She then turns away and leaves him behind, while Miyasaka continues calling after her without receiving a response. For Saika, people who have something they truly devote themselves to, something they can seriously face and pursue, are the ones who make her feel a quiet sense of envy. She realizes that she does not have something like that herself. Even her work as a model does not make her feel particularly special or fulfilled. In contrast, from what she has seen, Katsuzawa genuinely enjoys creating things. The act of making and repairing seems to give meaning to his daily life. While thinking about Katsuzawa, Saika eventually finds the address of his house. After parting ways on the road the previous day, she assumes that his home cannot be too far away. Now that she actually stands in front of his house, she becomes self-aware and feels as though she has truly crossed the line into being a stalker. From the outside, she notices a sign indicating that Katsuzawa's family also accepts handcrafted work. Through a window, she sees Katsuzawa inside, completely focused on what he is doing, and the sight immediately draws her attention. Inside the workshop, Katsuzawa briefly wipes the sweat from his forehead before continuing his task. He is in the middle of cutting wood with a saw, fully absorbed in the process. Watching him like this, Saika feels a growing sense of admiration. At that moment, her earlier impression is reinforced, and she becomes convinced once again that Katsuzawa is truly an exceptional person in his own way. For reasons she cannot fully explain, Saika feels a strong urge to capture this moment and take it home with her. As Saika takes a photo of Katsuzawa, her phone suddenly makes a sound. The noise immediately alerts Katsuzawa to someone's presence outside. He looks toward the window and sees Saika standing there, staring straight at him. The realization causes him to panic. He reacts instinctively, questioning why Saika is there and whether she has just taken a photo of him. Saika freezes, unsure of how to respond. At the same time, she begins questioning herself, wondering what she is even doing there in the first place. Overwhelmed by embarrassment, she apologizes for disturbing him and quickly turns away, running off while pushing her bicycle. Katsuzawa, caught off guard, attempts to stop her. At that exact moment, the bicycle chain comes loose once again. Saika immediately remembers that Katsuzawa has warned her before about the chain being old and unreliable. Katsuzawa approaches her without hesitation and reaches out, placing his hand on her shoulder. The sudden contact startles Saika, and her mind races as she feels her composure completely collapse, convinced that everything she has done up to this point has finally caught up with her.